Welcome back to the 365 Driven podcast. Today, we've got a great guest that I've been watching for a few months on Instagram, and she's putting out a lot of helpful commentary and information and education around food and specifically the ingredients. Her username on Instagram is Wake Up and Read the Labels. So it kind of gives you an idea what we're going to talk about today. But Jen Smiley is an expert food coach, and she's helped thousands of people with giving them really critical advice on the things that they're consuming and dealing with their skin issues and gut health and all these different things that we're going to learn about today. So Jen, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Tony. I'm excited to be here. And hopefully by our conversation, people will feel better and realize how they can maybe get rid of inflammation and know that this is actually sustainable.
So before we jump into the food, I want to know, why is there a backstory? Because I know that nobody just jumps into this stuff and becomes an expert without having some reason or a compelling purpose behind it.
Oh, for sure. So I'll take you back about 10 years ago. I just got married. I was a terrible cook. My husband was really into running marathons and just getting healthy, reading blogs, reading books, things like that. And he started to bring up the conversation of, hey, why don't we look at what we're eating? Because I think potentially my time could get better. We could get healthier. And at the time, I'm in my mid-20s. I'm battling acne myself. I'm overweight. I'm struggling with inflammation. I can't keep up in a workout class. I have acid reflux. I'm going to the doctor, in and out of appointments, getting scopes, getting prescribed medications. And I'm looking at my husband going well, we're trying vegan, we're trying vegetarian, we're trying carbs or low carbs, no sugar, nothing's actually happening to us. So then it dawned on me one day coming home from a workout class, I was drinking a Premier protein shake. And for those listening, you might drink Orgain, Premier Protein, something from GNC, something you're grabbing at Target. In hopes that, this is going to meet your protein for the day or make you healthy. I get that. I was there, but I luckily, in hindsight, my walk was a little further home. And while I love to read the front saying, how much protein is in the drink and how much calories and carbs, all these nutrition facts that we're kind of programmed to look at, I actually flipped it over and started reading the ingredients. Now, keep in mind, these ingredients were tiny, so I had to kind of stop and take a closer look. But I realized after the third ingredient, I could no longer pronounce these ingredients. I could no longer recognize these ingredients. And then I felt a little bit betrayed. I felt misled. I felt lied to. And I thought, wait a second, here I am working out every day and my pants aren't getting looser. I'm not sleeping any better. My energy is so depleted. I'm looking for coffee every minute. Could this be a culprit? So then, do you want to know my next step of what I did, Tony?
Did you quit drinking it, or you just drank more of it and thought that was going to solve itself?
Yes, and close. So I ran home immediately, opened my pantry and refrigerator, and I started reading my salad dressings, my coffee creamers, my marinara sauce, my crackers, you name it, my bread. And I'm going, oh my gosh, everything has these things. If you start reading the labels, you're going to realize that your protein and your coffee creamer have the same oils and the same preservatives and the same artificial sweeteners. So then I call it wake up, because every morning I would wake up. I was on a mission to go to every grocery. I even traveled regionally. It took me tons of time to figure out all right, this month I got to find a cracker. This month I got to find a protein. And so that took me, I'd say 3 to 4 years to figure it all out. But once I had it figured out, all of a sudden, I was no longer eliminating food groups. I actually could bring all the food groups back in and make any food I loved, and the inflammation quickly peeled away. The weight went away. The energy came. The skin cleared up. And I was like, I just hacked the food industry.
This is people may be hearing that intro and it's a great story, and they're thinking, man, there's got to be some really dangerous things in food. And, why isn't that on the front of the label? And how come we don't know about this stuff? And, so you mentioned oils, and that's one of the things. When we read that, we think, well, how harmful could that really be, Jen? Because we consume oils, we cook with oils, we fry things with oils, but there's a difference between the different types of oils. So let's educate them on that. What is it?
Yeah, this is actually when people ask me, like, what's the number one thing that people could eliminate that they could really see a difference in their health? And it is the oils. Let me back it up real quick before I dive into the oils. I want everybody to know that, like, if you right now feel overwhelmed, maybe you're looking at something you're drinking or eating and you're so confused and you feel betrayed, just like I did, like, I want to let you know that it's not your fault, that the food industry, it's not necessarily that they're against us. It's just we have been misled on how to properly find real food. 73% of consumers are misled by natural flavors. So you could be buying something that says organic, non-GMO, gluten-free, dairy-free. Like, now you go and look at the dairy-free section and you're overwhelmed. Like, it's okay. We're going to walk you through that. Yes, eliminating oils, number one, is step number one. And I say that because you are going to find those oils everywhere. And the oils you're looking for is the highly refined seed oils. Naturally, we're not supposed to get the amount of oil from, say, canola or sunflower or safflower or corn or peanut. These are the oils that are really, they're like wildfire in our food. That's the number one thing you want to look for on a label. And the issue with those oils is they have to use harsh chemicals to extract the oil from the plant. And when they do that, they use harsh chemicals and it actually raises the omega-6s in the oil. So think about this. The Mediterranean diet is super anti-inflammatory, right? We all know that. We're like, oh, eat your salmon, eat your extra virgin olive oil, yada, yada. That is because that diet is very high in omega-3s, which is anti-inflammatory. You want to be eating more omega-3s. The issue with the standard American diet, the Western diet here, is that we're eating way too many omega-6s. So when you go to Starbucks and you get your dairy-free cappuccino with your egg white and spinach wrap in the morning, like, it's got those oils in it. So off the bat, you're getting too many omega-6s in your diet, and cumulative through the day, it promotes inflammation. The omega-6 levels promote inflammation.
Yeah, it's crazy. And there was a time in my mid 30s. I'm 50 now, but when I was in my mid 30s, I kind of let myself go a little bit physically, and I was carrying probably 15, 20 pounds extra weight at that time. And I knew that I was going through some inflammation, but I also found that when I was carrying that extra weight, I didn't notice it as much. And I think that's one of the problems we see with people in their consumption, is that when you're carrying extra weight, a bad meal really doesn't show up because you're already carrying a little bit extra weight. Inflammation kind of hides under the extra layer of fat in our skin. And, you may feel a little bit of stiffness and tightness in your joints, but just think that hey, it's aging, I'm just getting older.
Yeah.
But I found out as I lost weight and I got into shape, I can literally feel within hours like the meal I just finished. If I just had a bad meal, sometimes the guys listening, like this, especially men, like if you wear a wristwatch and you go to a restaurant to eat something and that wristwatch starts to fit tight all of a sudden, and it's kind of like showing that impression of the wristwatch band on your wrist, like something you ate created that.
Absolutely. So I like to tell, like, when I jump on a call with people, they'll often say, is this going to work for me? Is this right for me? And I just say, okay, tell me, what are you going through? Okay. I have talked and worked with over 6,000 clients at this point in 3.5 years. And I mean, I've heard it from, I've been diagnosed with cancer, or I'm in remission, all the way to I have IBS, I have headaches, psoriasis, just bloating, inflammation, arthritis, all of these things, Hashimoto's. I can tell you a story about my own family member who got diagnosed with prostate cancer, who I helped in the very beginning. But I say, these signs that you feel every day, whether it's you're waking up and you're fatigued, or you're extremely tired after a meal, like, that is the only way your body can actually talk to you and say, hey, I don't like what you're giving me. If you have joint pain, if you have headaches, if you have cravings, like, if you wake up and have your coffee and breakfast and you can't make it to lunch, you need that snack, you need that coffee to get through. That's your body's way of saying, like, hey, I'm missing something, I'm depleted, I need help. And so once you switch over to eating clean foods that your body recognizes and can digest, well, all of a sudden you start to, those symptoms get to be a little bit more quiet, and you don't even realize those symptoms aren't there anymore. It's like, wait, I haven't had a headache in a week. Wait, I'm not running to the bathroom after I eat. Wait, I'm not taking Advil for my joint pain, things like that.
Yeah, inflammation is a sneaky one. A lot of times people would think it's just early arthritis, or that's just an injury that they had from their childhood sports, and I'll tell you
Yep.
that I used to have a stiff knee, a stiff shoulder, and stiff lower back in my 30s. And I've never had a surgery and I've never done anything, but just from physically doing weight training and eating healthy for the last 11 years, got started at 39. I don't have any pains anymore. I don't have any stiffness. I have full mobility that from stretching exercises and things like that. So I know that it is possible for us to regain our health and our full dexterity and our strength just by conditioning ourselves with better food and exercise. And I thought, when I was hanging around in my 30s, like I was hanging around a bunch of other people that were kind of enabling that kind of behavior and that excuse.
Yep.
And we were just like, oh, we're just not as young as we used to be. And guys, we were in our 30s saying that. It's like, come on, man. Right.
Yep.
So food and diet has a huge impact on these kind of things. And, when we get into labels, there's a certain situation, maybe people are going to a restaurant or they're going through a drive-through where they don't really necessarily get to see the label.
Oh, yeah.
So what kind of guidance do you give people in those kind of situations?
Okay. So with that being said, because food is so healing, right? Right now, I'm going to use an analogy. Right now, people are generally probably eating inflammatory foods, let's say 5 out of 7 days. Okay. And that's like wishful thinking. And with that being said, is okay, if you're eating inflammatory foods Monday through Friday, but like Saturday, Sunday, you're a rock star. Well, your body's never really going to come out of that pro-inflammatory state. And so you are still going to be prone to diabetes and arthritis and rheumatoid arthritis and gut issues and cardiovascular disease, all these things. Now, however, if you are eating clean Monday through Friday and Saturday and Sunday, maybe you're going on vacation or you're having to travel or you don't feel like cooking. And so you make the best decision you can, like all of a sudden you understand, okay, this is what I should be getting at this restaurant versus what I shouldn't. Like you get it. Well, when you eat those bad foods, you might have a headache. You might feel a little bloated. You might be running to the bathroom. Your stomach may hurt, but you're still going to gain that progress of living in that more anti-inflammatory state. So I like to preach, you don't have to be perfect. You do have to be aware, and you do have to do good when you can.
Yeah, I think that even I've seen some videos on YouTube where people will go to, for example, a McDonald's, and
Yeah.
they'll kind of squash the rumor that you can't eat healthy here. They'll just pick and choose ingredients off the menu where it's, hey, just give me the fried, the beef and the salad, and I don't want the dressing. And they kind of make their own little meal with the ingredients. So I used to do that kind of stuff back when I was training and working on the roads. And sometimes all you have is a crappy restaurant to eat at, but you still got to eat. So,
Absolutely. So
yeah,
if you can, I mean, if you want me to give specific examples, I can.
yeah.
Like we have a whole tutorial on how to go out to eat, for example, and we break
Okay.
down all the different cuisines. So let's say you have to go to a fast food restaurant, whether it's Subway, Chick-fil-A, something like that.
Mhm.
Um, they do make little packets of extra virgin olive oil. So it's something you can throw into your pocket, in your car, in your purse, something like that. And then you order your salad. Can you take off any gluten? So take off the croutons. Maybe you can add extra tomatoes, add extra olives, something like that, add extra avocado. When you get your protein, sure, the protein is definitely going to be cooked in those highly inflammatory oils, even if you're getting grilled chicken and grilled protein or sauteed, but you're not getting the breading. So that'll help. And then for your dressing, you put your olive oil on it, and then maybe you ask for lemon slices and squeeze some lemon on it. So like that, your salad can truly go from anti-inflammatory to inflammatory just by using their salad dressings. That's really what breaks a salad, which is why a lot of people go out to eat and they get salads and they're getting vegetables and they still wake up and their rings are tight, their eyes are swollen, they're holding inflammation in their face and then around their belly. And it's just because of, it's not the salad, it's the salad dressing.
It is. It's terrible. And, when they started putting calorie counts on some of these menus, and you
Mm,
go to the salad section and you look at a breaded chicken, like a country chicken salad with some ranch dressing and bacon and croutons. And you're like, well, I'm just going to be healthy today. I'm eat a salad, and it's
Yep.
1,500 calorie salad. And you go look at the hamburger and it's like 1,200 calories. It's like that salad is way worse than the hamburger that you
Like,
think is the bad thing to eat.
yeah, you're thinking what's going on. One of them is, I talk about this on one of my events, is Panera Bread. Okay.
Mhm.
If you go to Panera Bread and you're trying to be healthy, right? A lot of people say, oh, I'm going to get the chicken Caesar salad. And when you go to their website and you look at their menu board, it actually breaks it down. It says chicken Caesar salad. And it's got pictures of it. It has pictures of the grilled chicken. Then it has pictures, and it even says freshly grated Parmesan cheese. And then it's got croutons, like house-made croutons or something like that. And then it says Caesar dressing. And now I've been reading labels for 10 years. So I'm like, hold on, that's not just chicken, and that's not just cheese, and that's not just lettuce. I know that. And so you have to dig deeper. You have to go on their website, and there's this tiny micro button that says see more ingredients and nutrient lists. So you click it, and I kid you not, you see 5 ingredients at the top. But if you click it, it's more than 40 ingredients.
Oh my
And
gosh.
these are ingredients you can't pronounce. And why? It's to extend the shelf life. It's to make it taste better. It's to keep the ingredients all together so that they don't act like natural foods and separate. So you think you're being healthy and you're focused on the calories and the carbs because that's what we've been taught the wrong way. You see a lot of people, a lot of moms will come to me and say, oh, I'm worried about introducing this to my kids because I don't want them to be, worried about food and have a food fear and all these things. And I tell them, listen, if you don't teach them the right way, society is going to teach them the wrong way because America is sick. Our food is toxic, and no one's talking about this.
You brought that up. It's America primarily. We actually have the worst case in the
For
world
sure.
regarding this. And my wife and I, we travel all over the world, and we just got back from Portugal last week, and we had an event there, and all of our attendees loved it. And the thing that we noticed from going to Europe, and I know why, but I'd love to hear your perspective on this, is that
Yep.
we can eat the breads there
Yep.
and we can eat the pastries there, and we
Yep.
don't bloat up, and we don't
Nope.
even eat those here, like none of them in any restaurant, like unless we make them at the house and we see what the ingredients going on it, we're going to bloat up. So why is it that we can go to Europe and actually eat some of the breads and the pastas and stuff and not feel inflamed?
Absolutely. That happened to me as well. I went to Europe and I ate like a pig, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I even lost weight. Okay, so what's going on is they have tighter rules around how their food is made and produced. So they're in Europe, they're still producing their flours like even America did 100 years ago, like when your
Mm.
grandma got her flour and she made bread and things like that. What's going on is they don't use any herbicide or pesticide on their crops, known as glyphosate. That makes sure that the crops don't die. Okay. That truly is what's hijacking America's gut microbiome in all of our food. It is sprayed all over our food, and traces of it are coming into the flour. And when it enters your belly, what happens is it's making the holes in your belly bigger, and it's allowing your body to take toxins. Now, how do you get around that? You want to make sure you're getting organic flours, number one. And number two about that, what was I going to say? Oh, they also here in America, what happens is we have, if you read your bread labels or your pasta labels, you'll see enriched flour. What
Yes.
that means is that they have truly ripped up and stripped the fiber of all of its nutrients and fiber. And fiber is very good for your gut. Fiber is very good for stabilizing your blood sugar, not making you hungry, not making you tired, things like that. So America is like, oh, let's get rid of all that. And then let's pump it with fake fortified vitamins, which is why you see a vitamin panel on there. Okay. And then they have to put some type of sweetener in there because now it tastes really terrible. It's like we're eating dead food. And so it truly, it speaks volumes when somebody does go overseas and they can eat croissants and they can eat pasta and they can eat pizza and they don't feel terrible. And you have one bite of bread here or pasta, and one, you feel terrible, but two, you'll notice who goes and eats pizza or pasta and thinks, oh, I'm good with, half a serving or one
Oh,
slice.
no.
No, like you want the whole box. And there's
Oh,
a
yeah.
reason for that. It's because of what is inside of the food.
It's crazy. And last night we were at dinner, and one of my friends, she's from Germany, and she was explaining a little bit of this. I was kind of telling her about I was going to interview you today, and
Yeah,
I
yeah.
asked why is it like that in Europe? Why is it so much better? And she said, well, the main reason is that the government there pays for all medical coverage. So they're incentivized to make you healthy as possible without getting sick. And she
Mhm.
goes, another example is when you're over there, you notice that the pharmacies are very small. They're not much bigger than this room that I'm in podcasting. But our pharmacies here in the United States are gigantic behemoths, and there's four on each corner of the same intersection. And it's ridiculous. And she said there's limitations on how many prescriptions they can issue over there as a doctor. And versus here, where they just give you pills anytime you walk in. It's really easy to give a prescription. So our big pharma and our government here, with our medical being a privatized corporation to make high amounts of profit, they incentivize you to be unhealthy and eat unhealthy. And that's why the regulations on the food. So I was like this
Oh,
all
yeah.
makes sense.
Oh, yeah, and there's charts out there. I mean, it shows there's like, I don't know, 5 to 10 monster food industry companies that own the food industry. Like, even though you're buying this brand bread and this brand bread, it's all made from the same guy. And it's just super unfortunate because being sick is super profitable, so that's not going away. And cheap food keeping you sick is super profitable. So again, that's not going away. It's cyclical. It's like the food industry and the medical industry, they're all sleeping in bed with each other.
Mhm.
And the people that are really losing is it's America. We're losing our health. We're all exhausted. We're all running to the doctor. And then, here in America, they call it healthcare, but actually you have to be sick to check in. You don't go see your doctor if you're healthy. You don't go to the doctor and they sit
Right.
down with you more than 15 minutes and explain how to be healthy. You can even go see a dietitian and a nutritionist, and maybe you got 45 minutes with them. But really, what happens is you leave with a piece of paper, it sits in the passenger seat of your car, you go to your grocery, and that person told you to eat so many calories, carbs, sugar, go dairy free. And now you're at the grocery alone with a piece of paper going, what am I supposed to do? So you do buy things that are cheaper, or you do buy things that say sugar free, but your health doesn't actually get any better.
It's crazy. And my mom was not good at reading labels because she's a Japanese immigrant. So when she moved to this country, she didn't know which brands to trust and things like that. And so
Yeah.
she bought popular brands because she couldn't read English at that time. And, I think there's a lot of immigrants kind of maybe struggle with that as well. They recognize brands from their homeland. But regardless of that, let's say like if people go to the store, they generally lean on the brands they grew up with or the things that are time tested and their mom or their grandmother bought. And they don't look at the labels because they understand the marketing, and the marketing people know like this is like legacy. We know how to get in front of you. We know how to make you desire these things. Like we're going to keep doing what we do. So how do you start to teach your clients to gain that culture of flipping the label around and seeing what's actually in there? Because I think that's hard.
It is. It is. 98% of the product is actually marketing to tell you what's not inside. If you read it, you'll read no artificial flavoring, no high fructose corn syrup. It's like, hey, America knows that we've won the war with the food industry of realizing high fructose corn syrup is bad for us. So
Mhm.
the food industry knows that, and they put it out there. Hey, this doesn't have high fructose corn syrup, but it does have sucralose and acesulfame potassium, which nobody knows about. Also, that's inside of your Celsius you're drinking. But how do I teach that? I have an approach to it, and I'm not like, I don't want to overwhelm people, meaning
Yeah.
you have to go to the grocery store and spend 8 hours reading a label just to find a clean protein, right? Because that's
Yeah.
not approachable, it's not sustainable, it's not maintainable. What you want to do is start off with what you're doing consistently. Generally, that's going to be your coffee, your tea, your protein shake, or your breakfast.
Mhm.
Most people are doing something out of habit every morning. So starting there. So if you drink, let's say Califia Farms or Blue Diamond or Oatly, one of those, then read it. You're going to notice it has those inflammatory oils, number one. It also has the fortified vitamins, the preservatives, the gums, the fillers. Yes, it's making you hungry, tired, and bloated all day long. So what you want to do is, well, there's a lot of options, but number one, you can go and read it all. Also, I can tell you off the bat, like Three Trees, Malk, they're two really good brands. Embre, EMBRE, that's a really good brand for coconut milk. And we're talking about once you start reading these labels and you see almonds in water, or you see pistachios in water, cashews in water, and salt. It's like, oh my gosh, even a 7-year-old who just started to read labels understands this is clean. So that's where I would start.
So that's the key there. So when we start to see these really big, scary 20-syllable words that sound like a chemical on anything, we probably shouldn't trust that, because if we don't know what that is, our body likely doesn't know what that is either, right?
Exactly. Somebody messaged me the other day and she's like, hey, my whatever she was eating, my blah 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 has sulfur dioxide in it. Is that okay?
No, it
And my
doesn't sound good at
immediate
all.
yeah, my response is like, hey, do you want a plate of sulfur dioxide for Thanksgiving? Like if you went to grandma's house and she was like, hey, we've got a whole plate of sulfur dioxide. Like, no, you don't want that. If you start, I mean, it's mind blowing. Starbucks spinach feta and egg white wrap. It has mold inhibitor in it. Like something's got to be hurting your health eating mold inhibitor, right? You don't even need to go study the science of what happens to your body when you eat mold inhibitor. Like you're not supposed to be consuming mold inhibitors.
So one of the simple words that maybe people overlook, you mentioned it, is the word gum, G-U-M, just real simple word. We understand chewing gum, we understand gum, but people overlook that word. They probably think it's not dangerous. So what are the gums, and why are they bad for you?
Yep. So gums exist in foods to thicken the food, emulsify it, and stabilize it. So keep it on the shelf. But let's break down. You'll find a lot of gums in a dairy-free milk. So if you get your milk, you don't have to shake it because it's all combined, meaning the almonds and the water and the sugar. It always pours kind of like what is that?
Consistent.
Yes, like coffee made creamer. It just
Yes.
makes that nice, pretty cream. Now, if you get a clean swap, so like I said, milk that uses almonds and water, or Elmhurst cashews and water, it actually separates naturally. The water will sit at the bottom, the nuts or the pulp, whatever, it sits at the top. So what has to happen is that is how food acts naturally. So you have to shake it because it doesn't have the gums and put it in your coffee that way. I would also suggest to froth it because again, it'll act like natural foods and kind of separate in your coffee. But studies show out there that regular consumption of this, and by the way, you may not realize it, you're getting so much consumption of this everywhere. It causes gastro effects such as abdominal gas, bloating, and loose stools. And if you find a product with a gum, chances are like 99% chance, it's going to be assisted by a whole list of other not good for you ingredients. It's not going to be like, oh, here's 3 really great ingredients, and by the way, we threw a gum. They'll do that sometimes. You can maybe let that slide, but it's not often.
You know, about a month ago, my wife and I were at the grocery store, and she has a sugar craving sometimes. And she's like, we haven't had ice cream in a while. I'm going to go buy some ice cream. And I'm here in Houston. So Texas, we have Bluebell ice cream. Everybody knows about that. I know you're from the South as well. I'm sure you've seen Bluebell.
Oh yeah. My
And
kids love it.
oh yeah. So we went and looked at the label because of you teaching us to look at the label. It's like, I want to look on this label, even if it's a brand that I trust.
Yeah. Let's see what's in there.
It was a lot of gums and it was like a bunch of chemicals. And I looked at her and she looked at me and we're like, we just put it back in there. Like, we're not eating that. That's not good.
Yeah. And that was in Bluebell, right?
Yes.
Oh
Yep.
yeah. They're the worst.
Very popular name, very popular name. So the one that I kind of talked about it before we fired up the camera, but I see you created a content on your Instagram that kind of goes viral every time you post it, and it's about bottled water, right? Specifically like Topo Chico. And I know a lot of my friends, they'll have a fridge in the garage and they'll have it stocked with Topo Chico, and they're sipping them. And I get it's like bougie, fancy water. I've never even tried it. But when I saw that initially, it's like, what could be bad in bottled water? So tell us about that one.
Yeah, scary. Okay, I want to say from when I post that video, Topo Chico was the highest offender, meaning they had the highest amount of these chemicals. But I'm trying to think of, I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's polyfluoride something chemicals. And basically, these are chemicals in your water and your pipes underground. Okay. So you're getting exposure to this likely inside of your home anyway. But Topo Chico, LaCroix is another one. And then there's a handful of others. You can do the research on your own, like PFAS levels in sparkling water. But exposure to these chemicals stay in your body a long time. And it's been shown that it suppresses your immune system, it causes thyroid issues, and a handful of other adverse effects you do not want. And so the issue is that people are addicted to this. And the other issue is that people, when you're reading Topo Chico, it mentions nothing about this level. It just says like carbonated water and maybe natural flavoring. So I forget how I even found out that information, but I do know that Coca-Cola owns Topo Chico and they contain the highest level of PFAS. I do like to tell my clients when they come in my audience, I'm like, hey, if it is mainstream and you see everyone doing it, odds are it's not good for you. Like, Topo Chico's one. I'm not a proponent of Dave's Killer Bread. There's a few others, Celsius. These are all because of how this stuff is made and some things that are in there that just don't benefit your gut.
So let's hurt a bunch of feelings right now.
I
You
know.
mentioned Coca-Cola,
Yeah.
soft drinks and energy drinks. I know that there's a lot of people out there addicted to those things. They'll drink several of these per day. I think it's the leading cause of obesity in the United States is just drinking these soft drinks, even ones labeled diet or, sugar free. So what are your fears on or concerns about the soft drinks or energy drink industry?
Yeah. I feel like when I see people drink soft drinks now, I'm like, really, haven't we all figured out like soft drinks aren't good for you, right? But it's still a big thing.
It is.
Um, as far as energy drink goes, I'm here again to just give you guys some hope and some grace with this topic in that it's not your fault. It's not your fault that like you do need energy. You are depleted of energy all day. Like you depend on these energy drinks to get you through your workday. And it's cyclical. If you keep consuming foods that are going to make you tired, then you're going to keep needing the energy drinks. So the energy drinks are it's a hoax kind of. I know, let's say 20 years ago, Starbucks was around, right? But we all didn't get 3 cups of coffee a day. We didn't see coffee shops on every corner. Like we also didn't go out to eat as much as we do. So you have to look at our habits have changed. And why do we need so much more coffee now? Why do we go to the gas station and the freezer is like half filled with different energy drinks? It's super wild, but it's truly because health has declined, inflammation's at a high, and people are flat out fatigued and tired, and it's due to your food. So I always say, if you do not recognize an ingredient, neither does your body. And when you're eating these foods made with fake ingredients, your body has to work overtime to digest it. So it does make you tired. It has to work really hard to figure out, okay, what do I do with this stuff? And I'm starving all day. So your only thing to do is to drink the energy drinks. Now, how do you break the cycle? You have to go to the root cause. What is causing you to need these energy drinks is the foods that you're bringing in your house and consuming. Well, how do I know what I should be consuming? Well, start by reading your labels.
Mhm. Yeah, I think a lot of times people start the day with breakfast with some bad choices, and maybe you could give some insight on some things that they should be mindful of other than the labels. Like, what are the actual product, not brand names, but is it oatmeal or is it cereal? Like, what are these things that people consume that could be a high risk for them?
Oh yeah, for sure. I will stand strong with the oatmeal all day. So oats are higher in omega-6s, again, promoting inflammation. Oats are going to raise your blood sugar. When your blood sugar goes up, what happens? It has to come
Crash.
down.
Yeah.
The higher it goes up, the lower it goes down. When it's low, that's when you're hungry and tired. So you want to eat foods that keep your blood sugar more stable, okay? Doesn't mean you can't eat oats all the time. It just means in this healing process with your belly, you want to try to eliminate oats. There are oat swaps out there that are not made with oats. There's other ways to create homemade oatmeal, not using oats. But if you do use oats, you want to be getting organic and sprouted because you're making sure oats is one of the highest sprayed crops with that glyphosate, that pesticide that you're finding in your flour, Quaker Oats. I don't mean to drop another brand, but
Yeah.
I saw Oprah once eating Quaker Oats, and I'm like, no, Oprah eats Quaker Oats. It has the highest levels of pesticide. There's a hummus out there in crackers, highest levels of pesticide. So knowing, okay, we need to get organic, it needs to be sprouted. The other one, yes, is cereal. Cereal. How many more cereals are they going to come out with, right? And then they throw the marketing tactic on it, putting mermaids on there for kids and sports figures and things like that. Like that's a whole nother topic we can talk about.
The toys
But
inside.
yes. There's a guy that I had on my podcast. His name's Parker Brooks. He owns Lovebird cereal, and he used to work at General Mills in Yoplait. And he was like, this doesn't feel ethical. I want to create foods that actually help people. And I love his brand because he has 5 simple ingredients using cassava flour, not that enriched flour we talked about earlier, but he actually displays the ingredients on the front of the cereal. So if you're a cereal eater, you're a protein eater, you're a granola bar eater, oatmeal eater, any of those, start by reading it and just trying to get something a little more simple. It'll turn your whole day around.
That's true. When I go to the nutrition aisle in the grocery store and I look at the energy bars and things like that and protein bars,
So
some of
competitive.
them are very good. Some of them are, 5 ingredients and it's nothing hidden. And some of them is just pure chemicals. And what you also mentioned is like some of the biggest names that we've trusted are the biggest offenders. They have the worst ingredients list. And guys, it's, here's a weird thing about when I was a kid. I remember just reading labels on chemicals because the food didn't have those labels at that time. I grew up in the 70s and 80s, but I just remember, I think, looking on the back of like a shampoo bottle and you see all these chemicals. And I was always trying to see if I could challenge myself to pronounce those really, really long words, like the sciencey, huge syllable words. And eventually they mandated you had to put that on food, and you started to see those things. And I was kind of seeing some similarities, especially with like coloring and stuff like that, like FD&C red something number that. And
Red
so
light.
what's the different, what is color? Why does coloring bother us?
Why does coloring bother us?
Yeah. What is the color in the food? Like what does that do to us?
Yeah, it's artificial. And what happens is a lot of these food industries, they get their own food scientists to go run these tests and figure out what these are doing. But these artificial colors, there's tons of studies out there that say it causes ADHD, it causes fatigue, it causes agitation, behavioral issues, behavioral changes, right? And why are they doing it? Because there's many of reasons, but like you are more attracted to a Pop-Tart that says it's strawberry. And when you bite into it, you see that really red strawberry. Naturally, strawberries can turn brown while they're in production, right? So they're using it for the color appeal. Eating food, seeing it, it's a visual thing. That's part of it. Smelling it, the taste, they do it to amplify taste. But like you said, Europe is different. There's a lot of these artificial dyes that are illegal and can't be used, say in Japan. There's some ingredients. So you can even have the same exact brand, let's say Reese's, they will make Reese's cups here in America with like 4 extra bad for you ingredients, but have them eliminated overseas because it's banned. And it's like, wait a second, that's not fair. And they're doing it to get the supply chain, number one, so that these foods stay good longer going across. And they're doing it for sure so that it tastes better. Because when the food tastes better, you eat more. When you eat more, they sell more, the units go up.
Yeah, that's a tough one. So salty snacks, trail mix or Doritos, like all these things, like these big names.
Yep.
What are some of the chemicals that they should be paying attention to when they see, it's like one of those ones that pops in my mind is MSGs, monosodium glutamate. So that's in a lot of those things. Like, what is that and why should we avoid that?
Yeah, I wanting to look up the label of Doritos. My kids, again, they're like, Mom, can I have Doritos? I know you said trail mix, and I want to bring this up real quick while I try to find these ingredients, but trail mix, drum roll, is going to have like sunflower oil and canola oil in it. So if you're going and trying to be healthy. Oh, my doctor told me to eat more nuts and seeds and blueberries for antioxidants. And they go and they get it. What are they getting? They're getting like peanuts, or they're getting cashews or
Mhm.
almonds or walnuts, but it also has sunflower oil, or it has that canola oil. And it's
Is
like,
it like coated it, or something in it, or how do they
yeah,
introduce that
it's
into it?
pretty much coated in it. It makes it taste better.
Uh,
Um, and so why they do it, I don't know. Maybe because it tastes better. So you
mm,
do want to, like, a lot of times when I go to the airport, I'm like, all right, we're gonna find some clean nuts here. But I mean, you have to like really sift through, because you'll see, 20 different nuts, and maybe two of them. I know that brand, I think it's called Pistachios. They're
mhm.
just pistachios and sea salt. So you're like, winning, yes, let's
Yeah.
do this.
You mentioned the airport. One of the worst things I know that I should never eat, and I don't anymore, is a little packet of pretzels that they give you on the airplane. That
Yes.
that thing will
Oh,
bloat me up. It's a tiny
danger.
little, "Hey, thank you for all 6 baby pretzels in this bag." And
Yes.
every time I eat it, like, I swell up and my wrist watch gets tight, and I
Oh,
feel
yeah.
it, like, in my stomach. Like,
Yeah.
what's in there? What's that?
Oh, no, I've actually done, I have reels on this and I have posts on this. If you look at the snack, if you look at that snack mix, it's the snack mix, and it's got
Yeah.
all kinds of like trail mix in it. You
Mhm,
flip it over, it is astonishing. It's like the tiniest text ever, and it's from top to bottom, right to left.
mhm.
It's probably got over 50 ingredients, and you look and you're like, it's a chip and it's a pretzel. I'm so confused what's going on.
Yeah.
Um, I did find a Doritos, the Cool Ranch flavor.
Alright.
So just to give you an insight on like reading this label, the first ingredient is corn. Nothing about the front of it says it's non-GMO or organic. Corn and soy is two of the highest GMO crops here in America. GMO messes with your gut. It could be leading to autoimmune issues, things like that. The second ingredient is the one that we started off talking about, Tony, vegetable oil. So we're
Alright.
talking about corn, canola, and sunflower oil. I know there's a lot of ladies out there who eat popcorn that you think will make you skinny, but it has sunflower oil in it. Again, high in omega-6s, promoting inflammation. The other one, like you said, was MSG, monosodium glutamate. What does that do? That's in all your Chinese food. Yes, it's a flavor enhancer. It makes your food taste better.
An addicting thing is what it is. It's creates addiction, right?
Yep. Yep. And it's got harmful effects you can read about.
Mhm.
Another one, this could be controversial for a lot of listeners, is it has cheddar cheese. Okay. I always say you are what your cows eat. Like, take that with
Mm.
you. Whenever you're eating yogurt, ice cream, milk, or products that contain dairy, and probably everything you're eating contains some type of dairy, you are what your cows eat. What are the cows eating? The cows are eating GMO feed. The cows are eating the worst of the worst stuff, inflammatory grains, right? And so I know me as a mom, I breastfed. And when you breastfeed, they make these little strips that you can test your milk to see, one, if there's alcohol in it, if you've had, a glass of wine or something. But also when you're breastfeeding, your baby gets fussy when you eat spicy food or you eat something that irritates the baby's belly. And so it's like, okay, here I am as a mother. My baby is showing me exactly what's agreeing with them and not. What makes people not believe that what your cow eats is what you are? We can talk about the dairy aspect of that, but
Yeah.
also your meat that you're eating at the grocery store, at restaurants. All those cows are fed grains. Grains promote inflammation. They're fed a GMO diet that's messing up your gut microbiome. So, one, get rid of the oil, get some extra virgin olive oil or avocado oil. Two, you need to get high quality meat. What does that mean? You want grass fed and grass finished. Grass finished means that cow has started eating grass and they finished eating grass. It's anti-inflammatory. It has antioxidants. The nutrient profile on it is so much better, and it's no longer working against you, your day and your workouts. And it's actually helping you.
I've noticed that because when we usually buy packs of ground beef and we look for the organic grass fed, and from just cooking up a pack of ground beef in the skillet, you can tell the difference in the quality of the meat just by the fat content that's left over. Like if it's sitting in a huge puddle of fat when you're done cooking it, It's like, that one's not as good, but the grass-fed organic always comes out with the least amount of fat in it.
Yep. Game
Yeah.
changer. I know we just went from Doritos to meat, but
Yeah, Doritos is a
how
tough
it
one.
works. It's all
Cheetos,
connected.
Doritos, there's a lot of bad stuff in there, guys, and, it's just we had to learn to not trust brands and marketing anymore and just do the work. I mean, really just flip the package over and look at it
Yeah.
before you read it, and, if it says things that you don't understand, like I love that analogy, like, "Let me serve you a steaming plate of MSGs. Would you like that?" Or, whatever
Yeah.
we wanna
No,
talk
you
about.
don't want that.
Like, if
Yeah.
you're not gonna sit there at a bowl and chow down on that chemical, like, you probably shouldn't eat it in small quantities in your food.
Exactly. But for those Doritos Cool Ranch lovers, I'm here to let you know that you don't have to give up the foods you love. Siete brand, they have a Cool Ranch and it's perfectly clean. It's amazing. So that's what I like people to know is like, I'm here not just to deliver the bad news. I've done the research and I want to help you leapfrog those results, leapfrog those failures, and get the results quickly. We have all of the clean swaps and we know how to order and do all those things.
Yeah, she definitely shares this kind of information, and another one I think that is very popular, that content-wise, is people put their hot sauces and, stuff like
Mhm.
that. So you always give an alternative. You'll show, like, a really popular brand, and you'll look at the
Yeah.
chemicals, and everybody's like, "Oh my gosh."
Yeah. Well, I've tried in the very beginning. I used to show people only the clean stuff. It was
Mm,
like, hey, like here's one. I'm like, hey, I got these cashews, and it's just cashews, dates, vanilla extract, cinnamon, and sea salt. The thing is, that doesn't get people's attention. They're
no.
like, I don't care about that. People care about when you call out what they're doing,
Yes.
and that makes them stop. They're like, wait, you're telling me my Celsius is bad. You're telling me my meat could be inflammatory, and that wakes them up to listen.
So was there a shift in your social media? We'll change gears here. Social media
Okay.
content, because you've grown over 100,000 followers and highly engaged. It's not fake at all. I can tell when people have like their fake followers. But
Yeah.
was there a shift in the way you created content that started to really give you traction to grow that audience?
Was there a shift? I don't
Did you
really know. I
change the
feel like
format, or was there some kind of a
so
entertainment or
I can tell you how I started it if you
Mhm.
want to go there.
Yeah.
Um, so what had happened was I had 200 followers on Instagram.
Mhm.
Okay. And that was just like, your friends, your college
How
friends.
long ago was this for reference?
This was in 2019.
Oh, very recent. Okay.
Yep. 200 followers. And I was not good. I would like post a picture of my kids, first day of school, everything people usually do. It's a page that's all about you.
Yeah.
So anyway, once I figured out labels, I became a fitness instructor. And I had a family member diagnosed with prostate cancer, and he came to me and said, hey, will you help me get healthy 3 months before my surgery? So he's not getting treatment at all. I went to the grocery, got 8 bags, like, here's your biscuits, here's your crackers, here's your pasta, yada, yada. In 3 months, he lost 35 pounds, got off of blood pressure and cholesterol medication, and his PSA number actually was going down on his blood work every 2 weeks without any treatment. So
Hmm.
at that point, I stepped back and I'm teaching a workout class, and I'm like, whoa, I might have the tools to help more people.
Hmm.
So that's all I did was I started posting with no end game in mind. I started posting my turkey sandwich, my dessert, my breakfast. And clients started walking up to me and they were like, hey, what kind of turkey are you using? What kind of bread are you using? And I realized no one knew about these brands. So I started taking them grocery shopping. And then I reached out to this guy, his name is Mike, and he's helped a few social media influencers kind of develop their brand. So I hired him without any income. I woke up in the middle of the night freaking out, going, am I gonna be able to afford this guy? Like, I just felt the momentum of helping people that I needed. How else can I share this? And he told me, get on camera, show your face, take people through your day and be authentic. And he goes, in the beginning, you're going to hate it. You're going to feel so awkward. I hated looking into the camera. I hated talking, but I did it. And within 2 weeks of just showing my face and taking people through my day, a lady walked up to me in my workout class and handed me a blank check before my class begun. She was 50 years old. She said, I need you to take me grocery shopping. And at that moment, I was just, my heart dropped. I'm like, oh my gosh, I think this could be a business. How much do I write this check out for? And what do I actually do for this lady? Right. So that's all I did was I would take her grocery shopping, show it on my Instagram. And then a week later, her pants were big. She's messaging me that she's sleeping better. She's messaging me that, she's happy at work, all these things. So I start sharing it on my story. I'm sharing the results. And then what happens is three more people come. Hey, will
Mhm.
you take me shopping? Hey, will you come clean out my pantry? And so it was really results driven for a while. And I just always, you got to realize when you talk to people in social media, you have to talk to the person. You don't talk about yourself. You don't say, hey, here's my turkey sandwich. You say,
Yeah.
are you eating turkey sandwich and feeling tired all day? And they're like, yeah, that's me. And then you give them solutions. So you state the problem and then give them the solution.
Just in that segment, your entire face lit up, and I could tell that you're doing it for the right reasons. Like you're like you found out, hey, this is the way I can serve people.
Yeah,
This is
it's
what people
organic.
need. It's changing their people's lives. So I love that. And thank you for sharing that story because that gives a lot of people out there that are listening to this or watching this hope that you are not going to like the camera initially. I did not like it either. I share that on some of the other episodes. I didn't want to be a public speaker. I didn't like being on stage. I didn't want to be the person in the spotlight, but
Yep.
I knew that I had to become the right person to carry the message that I have within me. And I had to do that hard work and it wasn't easy. So I love that you had that same start. And most people will think it's easy when they see both of us doing this kind of stuff, but we had to go through things to
Oh
get
yeah.
here.
Yeah.
So
Repetitions. And I think everybody has something to bring, at least to maybe it's not the world, but to the people they can influence around them.
mhm,
And so if you're just authentic and show up, like you are going to help someone out there without even realizing it at first. And if you just keep doing it,
yeah.
then you'll see the fruit from it.
Well, this has been a very eye-opening episode. You shared a lot of content. I'm sure people are going to be like, "Well, I thought I was hungry, but now I'm kind of scared to eat." But go
Don't
go
be scared
follow
to
her. Go follow her channel. She's got a lot of information out there, and you can really just scroll through and see the labels. You'll probably recognize a lot of the labels that you consume and your family's consuming, and she'll share what's on the label and what you should look out for and give you alternatives. So it's a very informative page, and I have just no doubt it blew up so fast, and it's going to continue to do so. So if people want to work with you or find out more about you, what's the best way for them to reach you?
So for everyone listening, you should go to freemorningguide.com. You can discover 3 common foods killing your energy and ruining your day. You can also follow me on social media at Wake Up and Read the Labels. Reach out, send me a message. I'm handling the whole thing. And I also do have a podcast, Wake Up and Read the Labels, where I bring a lot of these clean brands on and share their story. Why are you producing a clean brand? Is it really hard in the food space? And why their ingredients are so superior. That'll give everybody a good start.
All right. Well, thank you for bringing your knowledge, your experience, and your attention to details because this is very important stuff. And I love that we got to talk about international differences and
Yeah.
really hope people are waking up and reading their labels. Thank you.
Oh, we helped each other together, Tony. Reach out if you need anything, and I appreciate you. Okay.